Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free!
Buy now at labara.co.uk.
And hello, welcome everyone back to the live stream of the British Diving National Championships. We have just seen the competitors in the men's 3-meter final just parade around along with the judges. So that means we are moments away from our first final of the second day of these championships here at Ponce Forge in Sheffield. We saw, particularly in the men's event this morning, very, very high standards. So I'm anticipating an explosive final. There's just so many incredible athletes with huge dives. How are you feeling, Jack?
I'm excited. I'm very excited, actually. There's obviously there's a lot riding on this event now. There's Europeans, Worlds, Commonwealth Games all coming up this year, and the competition is so hotly competed between these guys. And it's also worth noting divers like Anthony Harding, Ross Haslam aren't competing today because of injury. So, you know, there are other divers that are in the field that are competing for mainly 2 spots. Obviously, Commonwealth Games, we get 3 spots for England, and then obviously we've got Scotland separate as well. So James Heatley will be competing there for Scotland. But yeah, like I said, for the Europeans and the Worlds, it's going to have to be a big performance to be able to qualify for that from these guys.
It absolutely is, and it's a really good point to mention Ross Haslam and to mention Anthony Harding as well, because the standard that they are both at, I mean, we actually did see Anthony compete yesterday, we said this morning, but Ross in particular, he's been plagued with injuries and he's in a really unfortunate position now, but actually prior to having this scan on his back, I mean, I saw some videos of the dives that he was doing, and I know that he was making all these guys nervous, and we're looking at obviously Jack Law, but Dan Goodfellow, James Heatley and Jordan, and also with our guests like Giovanni and Yona. These are all divers, particularly on their best days, who deserve to be in finals of world level diving, and they're all here right now.
I think that's one thing that's so, like, it is quite hard for these divers because you've got potentially a 6th place rank in the British Nationals. The score that you might get for that could get you into an Olympic final, which is actually crazy to show how much British diving has come on. And I think looking at the dives now, most of these guys are using the hardest list that anyone is using in the world within, you know, 0.5 5 or so at the most. So to have that, and then to also be doing them at the standard that is required is just mega as well.
That's it, isn't it? It's the coupling of the two things, the difficulty of dives, but then actually the execution. We're seeing obviously the start list we have there. Start number 1 is Joe from Leeds, Declan from Sheffield, Todd from Southend.
Yeah, we made a little error this one.
Yeah,
it was the
well,
SD
I made an
that
error.
It's
the SD, so I want
so
to apologise to Todd and Southend Diving and to Sean. You've done excellent work there, but yeah, Todd from Gegas from Southend, Leon Baker from Southampton Diving Academy. We obviously have our guest from Italy, Giovanni Tocci, Jordan Holder from Sheffield, James Heatley from Edinburgh, Daniel Goodfellow from Leeds, and of course Yona Knight Wisdom from Jamaica, and Jack Law also from Leeds. You're talking about the depth in numbers, Jack, but it's important to probably remind people, at least for say the Commonwealth Games, it's England, and there are potentially 3 entries per board.
Yeah.
That gives more people a chance to have at least one big event.
And it's such a huge, it is basically a lead up for the Olympic Games, isn't it? It's like the next biggest major event. So it's a great event to be part of, and I'm sure it'd be an honour for any of these guys to get there. So Joe kicking the competition off there, 4 2.5 somersaults pike.
Those are the scores that he'll be looking for on that dive. It's a simple beginning to his competition. He's looking good.
We've got our first 8s already on the first dive. I hope to see.
That's it. Let's keep them coming. Well. And again, for divers like Joe, Declan that we have now, but also Todd, finding themselves in the final of the British Diving Championships is really impressive.
Good dive from Deck as well, like you just said. Very impressed. I spoke to him earlier. It's his first senior nationals, so just to make it through to the final, I think he was absolutely buzzing with that, really. Giving his confidence a massive lift. So hopefully he can carry on the form that he showed this morning. He was very consistent and starts off in that same vein.
Yeah, did you get you asked Ross how he was feeling?
I actually haven't. No, I think he seemed calm anyway.
That's Todd's first dive. I mean, it's a bit too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, he could definitely put another somersault on that. I think it's only a matter of time before he's competing that with the 3.5 somersaults. Yeah,
and obviously he's doing that in the tuck position next. I mean, part of the problem is we only see one twist option for Todd in his list, and often that's to get the full list, you often look for a forward twisting dive and then a reverse, possibly a back twisting optional as well. So just building that difficulty through the entire list. But that's often why we see a front 2.5 pike from some of the junior athletes in particular, just to fill out the list.
Yeah, he's using the dive 3.5 somersaults in the tuck shape, but judging by that, that 4.5 pike, I don't think it'll be long before he's spinning that.
It's so good we're getting the replay now. The push that Leon produced on the springboard is something special. He's miles up in the air. He's missed his hands.
Yeah, just the lineup looked almost a little bit blind, I think. Would you say it's fair? He kind of doesn't really look at the water. He just puts his arms straight to his ears, and unfortunately it's just kind of missed out on the entry line to give him his normal rip that he gets.
That would be probably one of the only technical things to mention about Leon. It's just his head position sometimes on the lineups.
Giovanni with a forward 3.5 somersault spike. Very easy. I'd say he's probably be slightly disappointed with that, to be honest.
I think so. It's beautiful, but it's just a bit short.
Yeah, we said earlier that this is normally a dive that he's very consistent with, and 60 points is probably a little bit disappointing, really, for him.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, he probably wants up to 75 on that.
Yeah, Jordan starting off with his forward 2.5 somersaults with 2 twists. This morning he kicked us off with this dive with a 76.5 score, so it was a great start for his prelim. Can he do the same thing in the final?
Oh, it's good.
Very nice.
So high. So high. There's perfect work on the board. There's just more of a crisp finish. That is the only thing you can say, really, about that dive. That was huge.
And I said, can he replicate the morning? He's done exactly the same score. Nice work, Jordan. Get himself into the competition.
Great start. And there we go. Already you feel that just extra level of electricity in the air. Me and Yona were talking about this. We used to coin it the final vibe.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, you smiling at me.
The training before was always, everyone was had that little buzz. There was clapping of everyone's dives because everyone was nailing stuff.
Yeah, feels good, but it brings about the best diving.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Pushing each other. Great start from James again. He has been doing this with an extra somersault, and he's competed at certain events, but I think the back 2.5 somersault pike for him is so consistent. He's opted to stick with that and not add the extra risk of the 3.5 somersaults.
I mean, ultimately, you have to play more tactically in this event because you're looking at qualifications for big competitions. So it's not about necessarily showing off or just trialing something. It's about how do I get the best score, best chance of being on top.
It's a great rip entry from Dan.
It is.
The start
really nice
probably wasn't
finish.
as nice as we saw this morning. I don't think. He just drifted a little bit further forward into the pool, but I can't really fault anything else in that dive. Feet are perfectly together in twist shape. Repike's nice and a great rip entry from Dan.
Yeah, the entry being rewarded by the judges. 8s across the board. Yona now. Forward 3 somersaults piked.
Very nice from Yona. I almost wanted to say before that I'd be very surprised with anything less than 8s, but I didn't want to put a commentator's curse on it.
You should have.
So I didn't
gone
say
for
it. But we see the scores there, and it's 8-8-8 to count. So very consistent. He always performs that dive.
And it just looks fantastic. Obviously for Yona, the pressure isn't the same for him. He's obviously representing Jamaica, so this is more of just a trial run for him. But he looks excellent.
So does this man.
Yes, he does indeed.
He looks on good form from the last 2 days. Massive score on 1 meter, 4.59 on the 1 meter springboard in the final yesterday. So that's already a huge score. Got 4.62 in the prelim this morning, which I think he'll be relatively happy with. Obviously, he's been up in the mid 500s in the past, but that's it. Some of the biggest events in the world where he's been at his peak performance. So we'll be excited to see if anyone can get near that 500 mark today, because I think there's definitely a few divers in here that are more than capable.
No, you're absolutely bang on. It's a huge score to get. So I hope so. I want to see it. We are into round 2. That was Joe Stocking. He's in with 2.5 somersaults in the pike position. He's over-rotated that one a bit. It's rolled through the water.
Yeah, I really liked his pike shape. He squeezed in really tight. I think maybe he just tucked his chin in a little bit, and that's just left his awareness slightly out, and that's why he's rolled over onto his back.
Again, it is worth mentioning often, particularly in these finals, the increase in the power that at least you feel. It's quite dramatic.
Again, consistent diving from Declan.
Yeah, really nicely done.
It's a skill. It is a skill to be able to compete, because some of these dives, although the degree of difficulty is lower, you still have to maintain that consistency, and to be able to go through. He went through this morning without really dropping a dive. And so far, so good in the final 2.
Yeah, you've got to just do it. You've got to be able to do it. I mean, all divers have their own strengths and weaknesses, and some people do things better than others naturally.
Something Todd naturally seems to have is the entries.
Oh, yes.
This morning he gave us a few that were just beautiful through the water, and similar
really
again.
good.
Very, very nice through the water. We're only seeing the 7.5, 7s count. Probably just a little bit form. I think the toes in the shape and through the water could be a little bit neater.
That would be my point. Pointing those toes in that tuck shape. You know, he's getting 8s there because the dive's class.
Yeah.
Just those extra little polish things to get even more out of the judges. It's the game we have to play. There we are. Didn't miss his hands then. Yeah, I mean, it's just so
chilled out, so high.
It is.
I was saying before the event, when as a junior, being able to compete these dives and doing dives such as reverse 3.5 in his list, there is not many juniors around the world that can do that. So that in itself is really impressive, and it's not as if he's just competing them either. He's competing them to a good standard.
Yeah, he's He is. He's doing them, and he's putting the pressure on some of the older competitors. That's a good dive. That's a great takeoff.
Really nice.
Bang on the end of the springboard there. That's what he wants. It's just, you see the flutter in the legs.
Yeah, that would be my only criticism. Just you can see both legs as he's twisting, but 76.5 points again, same as this man's first round dive. Now this was the dive that he dropped slightly this morning.
Yeah.
Just left it
anxious on the come out.
Vertical.
Nice.
Oh, that's more like it.
Nice, Jordan.
Wow, Jordan Holden. Look how easy that is.
He pikes out with his legs up to the ceiling.
So easy.
Oh, Jordan Holden.
Oh, very consistent as well. 2 76.5s in a row. Nice work, Jordan.
No, and that's good. It's great to see, obviously, Jordan with the position he is in the start list, Tochi and then him, putting in some big dives, and then immediately you put the pressure on the rest of the divers. So it's often like a kind of cascade effect. Once people start diving well, people are aware of that. I know they are. So then they're like, right, well, I better.
I need to, otherwise I'm not.
I better shift up a gear. And
speaking of that, James has got the same dive to follow Jordan.
Let's go, James. Oh, and it's great as well.
Does he follow?
It's so good.
Of course he does.
So good.
Quite different to Jordan's technique.
It is, but he does that punch out that you were talking about, but he's cleaner on the finish, and that's where actually the slightly better scores have come from. The entry's not everything. I would say that's a slight misconception with diving. You have to do the dives, and they have to be great, but that's what we've seen the difference in there. Jordan, he does make that dive slightly easier than James, but James had that sharpness on the finish, just a bit more than Jordan, and so he gets an extra half
the
mark.
79-point total rather than the... Ooh, and Dan following again with the same dive.
Easy, a bit early on their lineup.
Yeah, I think this morning I said he almost looked like he was spinning a bit slower than he normally does on this dive. Whereas this time he's just come out a little bit too early, just that awareness lacking slightly. But 62.9 was that? Yeah, 62.9. So it's not going to leave him far behind.
And with his first dive, he's still right up there.
And if he performs his forward 4.5 and triple out like anything like he did this morning, then
you're absolutely
right. Himself well up. Obviously, our winner of this event earlier on in the year as well, Dan, just pipped Jack to the title. I think he got 462 in that event, which Jack got 462 in the prelim as well. So shows the level of the diving is very similar.
And that's something interesting in general, though. You typically expect slightly better performances in the summer nationals. So this is where we are now. Hard to exactly say why, but I guess you're well into the season now. Whereas the Winter Nationals is normally the very first event you do after the off season.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yona, there he is.
I don't know how much you can hear through the stream, but the sound that Yona makes when he hits the water there, we call it a rip entry because it sounds like you're almost tearing the water.
But that was a slap.
Yeah,
like Yona's big hands just pa. Love it.
But Yona's definitely got that in his locker.
All right, Jack Law.
Yeah, as you were saying about I think the previous nationals as well for a lot of these divers was the first competition for a long time with COVID and everything like that. So, to get that and then to get a bulk of training after it and maybe do another event in between there.
Oh, Jack,
wow.
and he held on to that so well. You can see his toes hanging over the end of the board, but he sends it up. And just composure. I think when this dive goes well for Jack, it's probably his classiest.
Yeah, I think I would agree. His kick out and rip on back is top tier. It really is. He when he gets it right, there's not many better in the world because he makes it so easily as well.
So good. Oh,
Good,
almost.
good sneaky finish there from Bill.
Yeah.
It was slightly short of vertical, but he brought all the water down with him. So
He did.
he's done really, really well to hold that tension through his body. I mean, very little splash has been thrown up. So again, good pike shape from Joe, and like I say, did really, really well on the entry.
So Jack Law, he's already created a small lead for himself, and then Dan, Yona, James and Jordan all sitting fairly close, and Toch even. Oh, Tech! Yes!
Again,
What a knee save!
consistency.
Look at the entry,
Good kick, yeah,
and
great
you see the
knee
bend
save.
in those knees, so those toes just go through the water vertically. What an entry! I mean, for Declan to be scoring
63 points.
7.5
Yeah.
from all the judges at
At
senior
senior
nationals, his first senior nationals, big credit to you, man. Well done. But Todd, same dive.
This was beautiful this morning as
It
well.
was.
His entry was very similar to what we've just seen from Declan. So
Yeah, let's go.
see.
Oh,
Oh, he tried to get the knee save.
yeah, but that's where if you've gone a bit too far over, you've got too much work to do, or you do the knee save too early, you catch your knees on
Yeah.
the water, your quads, and you throw up that sort of backward splash. Yeah, it was almost there, just a bit too far past vertical to save that one. Leon Baker, reverse 2.5 somersault to 1.5 twists.
I think he's the only diver doing this dive in the event.
Yes,
Am
I think
right?
you're right.
Oh,
yes.
nice. Very, very nice from Leon.
Leon.
Stands it up so tall. Those feet just flutter slightly,
Oh,
which is
that-
the only real criticism, but everything else in the dive is great. Good entry, so strong, so high, good aerial work. Great dive, Leon.
I mean, and that's the most difficult dive we've seen from him in this final, but it's his best execution.
Yeah. And he's still got some big dives to come up as well.
He does, he does. Yeah, I'm excited for his reverse 3.5.
If he rides the board like he did on that start, then definitely be excited to see it.
Giovanni Tocci back 2.5 somersaults in the pike position.
Oh no, that's slightly uncharacteristic from
Yeah.
Giovanni. Normally these slightly simpler dives are ones that he really excels at because his entries are great. He's quite a calm, relaxed diver, but there he's just not reached his arms quite behind his ears on the water, so the
Yeah.
splash has just caught up off his shoulders.
Yeah, missing the alignment. It just shows you what those kind of small mistakes can cost you in terms of scores.
Right, come on, Jordan. Reverse 3.5
3.5.
somersaults too.
Oh,
Held
good.
on very well. Held
Oh,
on. His
man.
toes
Look,
were
watch his
miles
toes.
over the end of the board.
Yeah,
But he's so strong, he
so
can just
good.
hold on to it, and he's done a really, really good job out of that.
I'm glad the judges have gone with him still. He deserves that. Again, early come out. He's
Yeah.
kept his composure, and I'm so pleased to see that from Jordan. Not being phased by big toes being over the end, by other divers doing well, by doing good dives. It's just he's just putting them in, because that's what he does in training.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously me and you know him so well. We've trained with him for a long time, and he is so talented. It's just been trying to put the dives together in a 6-dive list has just been his trouble. So hopefully that's 3 out of 3. Hopefully we see him keep going.
James Heatley, reverse twist. Beautiful.
Nice again.
He does this. I love watching James do this
He's
dive.
so consistent with it as well. He
It
never
is.
seems to drop it. Even when the takeoff wasn't as good as this morning,
Yeah.
he's slightly loud on the board, but he always seems to find his hand. He always his hands. He always seems to be square on the entry, which on this dive, because there's so many twists, so easy to over-rotate on those twists and go through the water slightly skew with. But he seems to make it square every single
Every
time.
and it's as your word, Jack, a banker dive for him. 3.5. It's just so good to have.
Yeah. Another 3.5.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Nice. I thought it was going to be slightly better than it.
Yeah.
It just squeezed a little bit too far back on the entry, so you can just see the slight over rotation. I thought it was going to absolutely disappear, but I mean, I am being very overcritical there because we've got 7.5s to count on the first 2.5.
It's funny how quickly our standards just fly up. I mean, actually, this is an awesome final.
That we come to expect.
Yeah, but this is where, I don't know, this is where British diving is now, and just imagine having Ross in this, Anthony in this. I mean, it's.
I'm glad we're not in this.
Yeah, me too. Nice Yona.
From Yona.
Yep, so we can see he has gotten rid of the forward 2.5 with 1 twist. He's finishing on a very big dive. That was the forward 2.5 somersaults with 2 twists. Great job.
Yeah, so like you said, step up from a 3.0 to a 3.8 degree of difficulty, sorry, with the forward 4.5. So the score potential increases massively, but obviously with that comes the risk increase too.
Yeah, the extra jeopardy. That will be his last dive, his final dive. It's a sight to behold, Yona doing 4.5 somersaults.
Yeah.
So is this Dan's Jax in with 3.5 somersaults with Tuck. Oh, well held.
Yeah, he was slightly late out of his shape, wasn't he? So he just looked like he was going to over-rotate slightly, but he held those legs strong and kept the water down.
Clever with his body line, so strong throughout the whole dive. To push the board down like that and to hold his finish through his abs and his leg tension. Yeah, phenomenal, Jack.
Yeah, I think sometimes the strength of these guys is underestimated. I mean, Jack's obviously someone who weighs probably less than 70 kilograms or in and around 70 kilograms, depending on the time of the year. And the squatting that they do in the gym is double body weight.
Yeah,
and
maybe even
they
up to
are
2.5,
so
you never
strong.
know.
Yeah.
But that's a really good dive from Joe. The best dive we've seen from him in this final so far. It's his hardest dive, and he's got his hands on that one. Good job.
Yeah, Joe's been good so far. Some good rip entries again. I think we've seen that consistently throughout the day. And so have we with this man, Declan.
This is his 3.5, but in the tuck position. Yeah.
And again, a bit back off the end of the board, which I thought might leave him with a little bit of work to do to get the dive all the way around, but he's very aware. He knows when to come out of the dive, and he again puts it upright.
And actually, he didn't have any problems making the dive. He was there. He was right on. He's feeling good. I say it does. Being in these competitions in the afternoon, particularly in a final, you can get 10% extra sort of power. That's the feeling, and it's a really nice place to dive, having that feeling. You just wish you could have it all the time. Yeah, there we go.
Great dive. Great dive.
That's the finish
from
we want to see from Todd.
That's what that coffee's for that you've got, isn't it? That feeling of...
yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, Todd again showing us that rip entry. We're probably getting bored of me hearing you tell him how good his rip entry is, but...
And I think Todd was signalling that to his coach. I think from the sideways angle that the judges have, as he kicked out, there was a little wobble of his feet or maybe a twist in his hips. And I think he was signaling that to his coach, Sean, and that's probably why the scores are just a bit down on what you could expect on that dive from him. Leon back to an off-pike.
Oh, nearly. I mean, he makes it so easily. Look where he puts his feet out below the 3-meter board. Just maybe needed to either reach back a little bit earlier or put his feet a little bit higher, one of the two. But yeah, again, it's so easily.
But it's really hard when you're trying to reach with your arms to still keep the leg tension.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. When you're reaching hard like that, backwards, it's so easy for the legs to soften. That's more like it from Tochi. He's not missed his finish.
I was unsure whether he was going to put this in with an extra somersault potentially, but he's opted to stick with the reverse 2.5 somersaults pipe, which again there was 69 points. You can't really argue with that decision. Reverse 3.5 potentially could score more, but it could also potentially score a lot less.
Yeah, no, it's paid off for him, I think, overall. for Jordan. This is the first time we're seeing this dive in the final. The forward 2.5 somersaults, 3 twists, the highest degree of difficulty dive in this event.
Oh! Wow!
Oh, well, sorry for everyone's eardrums.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes,
that
Jordan, 93.6. Go on,
is
Jordan.
a great dive from
Oh,
Jordan.
let's bring it. I love this. Jack, what an event. What an event.
Sorry, I got a bit excited there.
Oh, we both did. We should probably learn to be like singers and pull the mics away.
Yeah,
when
I
we
think that.
But that's it. We don't know what's going to happen.
That's why we love
James,
it.
right. James is reverse 3.5.
That's why it's so hard to compete, though.
I know. Let's go, James.
Jordan's put the pressure on here then.
He has.
Reverse 3.5.
It just makes for great competition, though, doesn't it?
Oh, does he feel the pressure, or is that?
Nah, James loves it. James loves the pressure. I know
as soon as he
does.
landed in the board there, I was excited because I know James's awareness is great, and he landed perfectly on the board, threw himself up into the air, and you know what's going to happen next. James Heatley.
Oh, that was such a good dive.
91 points. We've got 93 points followed by 91 points.
Oh,
I love it.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Dan, this is his forward 2.5 somersaults. 3 twists again. It's just one after another. What are you saying, Jack? 90 points?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
93.6. If you got 90 points 10 years ago in the British Nationals and you didn't win, it'd have been an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
Now there's 3 of them that have just done it in a row. That is special.
I love it. All right, come on then, Yona. So this is inward 3.5 somersaults in the tuck position. He did this really nicely in the prelim.
Oh,
he was motoring.
great takeoff,
Such a good takeoff. Again, for Yona to stay on the board for that long, almost like the taller you are, it can be more difficult to keep your center of mass in the right place, but he's done that absolutely right. He was all over the board, so good. But again, when you're feeling that extra power, when you get maybe one of the best takeoffs you've gotten on that dive, it's hard to know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point. When you do an inward dive of that difficulty, you almost have to feel like you're leaning over the board, because when the board is depressed, you need to be upright. So to be upright in an upright position, you almost have to feel like you're leaning over the board, which obviously is a scary thought because you don't want to come near that board.
Jack Law, so his back 3.5. I mean, look at that push. It's just a bit too early. He's done well to fight it and work that back around. But this is interesting because actually, and that's not a drop for Jack, but with the rest of the guys, I suppose with the exception of Yona getting their 90 points, yeah, they're sort of right back in there with him. So, this event is heating up. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, after that last round then, Jack is currently in the lead with 3.27. Jordan closely followed with 3.23. James 3.22, and then Dan with 3.18. So it's very closely contested at the top.
Yeah, I feel a bit for Joe to follow that succession of dives.
Yeah, it's never easy, never easy.
But it's wonderful experience.
Yeah, I mean, Joe as well, the first 3 dives he's done, all you know, doing a pilot list.
Yeah.
As a young lad, he's doing them all well. His grip's great, his shapes are nice.
Yeah, he's missed his line on that dive a little bit. Oh, well done again.
He just keeps putting them in.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask from Declan in this competition.
Yeah.
He just keeps putting them in. He keeps getting his points on the board, and he's been rewarded this morning by getting through to this final. And to be part of this final is, I hope for him, he feels as an honour, because there is some amazing diving going on, and he's contributing to it as well.
Yeah, he is. he's absolutely contributing to the energy, and that's what these younger guys can do. And when they're putting the dives in and the entries in, like Declan's doing, like Todd is doing, you add to the atmosphere. You're a part of that. I mean, he's very clever with his hands, a bit piked through the entry. You'll be able to see that.
Keep the water down because his hips were slightly, like you say, slightly piked through the water.
But clever work, and that's the sort of stuff you see from some very, very skillful divers. A diver that comes to mind when I see that is Alexander Bondar.
Yeah.
Can land in any position almost and just disappear.
Yeah, magic hands.
Russian platform diver. It's a skill, and as we said before, some athletes have different attributes, and I think that's something that Todd can clearly do well.
Right, here's the 3.5 from Leon.
Here we go.
Oh!
Oh, I love the pickup.
How easy
the
is that?
pickup is world class.
It's so hard. I mean,
so
he's come out
close.
and put his hands on his legs. I think I heard you in commentary say yesterday, it's almost a bit of a, look how easy this is when you come out with a dish and put your hands on your legs. He's just slightly short of vertical, which is the only criticism, which is why I'm not seeing the bigger marks, but that is going to be a big scoring dive for him in so many events to come.
It's just going to be Leon, reverse 3.5, bang. I can see it.
I can feel a junior title, hopefully, international coming.
Let's go. Well, again, he restarted on this dive in the preliminary competition. He's gone for it first time, but he didn't get the ideal hurdle step. He's off the end of the board, and I think probably at the moment he'll want to feel like he's right on the end of the board to get everything out of it that he can. Ooh, but this takes us into the real business end of this competition now. Jordan back 3.5 somersaults in the tuck position. This was excellent this morning.
Yes, it was.
Let's go, Jord.
Oh, again, he is on fire! Wow!
Oh, yes!
That is...
Jordan! He's at 4:08 on 5. Did he just make the prelim points off 5 dives?
Yeah. He beat his prelim score off.
Oh, yeah,
dives. Yeah. Got 407 in the prelim.
That's it. That is what you do when you're just doing 3.5, 3.6, 3.9.
Not just doing them either.
No, yeah. When you're smashing them out the park, that's what you can do.
Putting the pressure on as well. He's the first one to go out of the top 4 Brits. So he's putting massive pressure on these next guys.
Massive.
Starting with James Heatley.
But James, I think, has been relishing it so far. Oh, let's go, James. 4.5 somersaults. Oh, man, the takeoff was huge.
He's flying. He is absolutely flying.
We've complimented his hurdle step over and over again, and we'll do it again. It's so good in a pressure moment, get a takeoff like that. But it kind of what we were saying about Jona's inward 3.5. It's when you get a takeoff like that, and actually he went short on that dive in the prelim. So those sorts of things that can be in the back of your mind, but he's flown that.
I mean, the interesting thing is he does finish up with his 3.9, so he's only 17 points behind Jordan, which can be an easy swing with that degree of difficulty.
Well, it's a similar mistake, but actually probably even bigger from Dan.
Yeah, he just...
Head down.
Yeah, similar to his inward, but the opposite. I think he just looks a little bit cautious when he comes out of that dive.
I mean, yeah, it's important to add, James's wasn't a big miss. Just it had bigger scores written all over it. Dan has gone further past vertical than James. Again, he spins so quickly. Okay, Jona now reverse 3.5 somersaults in the tuck position.
Come on, Jona, let's have a repeat of a few weeks ago.
I mean, that's what we talked about. He's pushed that probably further forward.
Yeah, than this morning.
So it's further down the pool than he wishes. So as soon as he lets his legs go, again, because he's so long, they drop. And it's actually pretty impossible for Jona there to get that round. I mean, he makes the dive well. I think if he kicked his legs completely vertically,
I think with a bit of balance, that's the right place to put your feet.
Exactly.
When you're a little bit forward like he was there, like you said, the feet just drop, and
Yeah.
unfortunately,
I mean, I actually like to see the consistency of come out.
yeah.
It gives you confidence that he will put it down when the start's right. Yes, Jack.
Good man, Jack. Great dive.
Yep.
Forward
He's not
4.5 somersaults.
faltering.
Yeah, he's not being phased by Jordan's great dive in last round. He takes himself to 10 points in front of him.
Slightly past vertical, but other than that, it's all there, and it looks great. It's so dynamic to see
on to
Jack
the last
do that.
round.
So
Breathe.
I don't want the people listening to hear my big exhales.
Joe with a lovely dive to finish again. Like we said before.
Yeah, good job, Joe.
Nice, neat, tidy, good rip. Great diving, Joe. Well done. 338.2 to finish off.
Yeah, and now it's just a case of just sort of building one step at a time. You increase your strength. He also matures physically and get more experience. You start to add the more difficult dives, and that's it. That's the journey. But he's done it well today, as has Declan. His last dive, reverse 2.5.
And I want to say 12 out of 12.
Yeah,
I don't think he's dropped a dive
No.
all day, particularly. I mean, there you go. He's scoring an 8. It's not going to count, but he's scoring an 8 at a senior nationals in 3:40. Well done, Declan.
Yeah.
You should be very proud of yourself.
Well, and actually, from what he's done this morning and from what he's just done now, actually, you already start to build your reputation. The judges going, okay, actually, we haven't seen this guy much really before. Certainly not at senior nationals. He can dive.
Yeah.
Oh, great dive, Todd.
Again, very similar to Joe, really.
Yeah.
Great rip through the water. Maybe,
Yeah.
again, just needs to neaten up those toes a
Yeah,
little bit,
and
which
he
I
can-
think really should be an easy fix for him, because he looks like he's got that in his locker at certain points in the dive.
Yeah.
It's just when he hits the water, just to keep concentrating on that. But some really good stuff from Todd again.
Yeah, I think a lot of potential there. Yeah, I really like his diving. There's a nice level of, and there's a bit of a wow factor to some of his, with those
Absolutely,
finishes,
yeah.
and it's good.
This guy's got a wow factor in the relaxed nature of his diving, I think. Oh, there's a bit of a funky come out, but it
He
did
lines
the
up
job,
for the entry so early, which is a bit unusual.
which I think is why the judges have kind of not gone with him on that. 5.566, just stayed a little bit piked through the water.
Yeah. I mean, on the surface, it looks like, overall, it looks like a great dive. It's a difficult dive. 2.5 somersaults, 2 twists. It's good entry. Yeah, just a bit too early on the lineup, and it often does leave the judges a bit unsure. And you actually probably make yourself look lower than you really were, actually.
I'd agree with that, definitely. So Giovanni Totti to finish up his event in 3.5 somersaults tuck. And he get over that 400 mark. It's currently on 327. Think that'll get him over the 400
that
mark?
should do. It's good. It was nice this morning. It's nice again this evening.
He's really clever on that come out. Oh, he's 399.35. Wow, very, very, very harsh.
Okay. This is a big moment.
It is a big moment. I think this will be
see.
Jordan's first. He's had a bit of trouble in this event at the nationals in previous competitions. I think this will be his first 3-meter title if he can do so.
Wow,
He's
well
giving
done,
himself a
Jordan.
chance, 100%.
Well done. There's a bit more left in that, but it's very good. He must have been nervous.
478.5.
478.
Great score.
It's
He's
a
done
massive
the
score.
prelim score and the final score as well for
Yeah.
qualification for
He
the World
has.
Championships as well. So that will be a very interesting one for him. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've still got some other divers to come yet.
I mean,
James Heatley can.
I think if Jordan had really put that in, James might be out of with a chance, but he has a chance for sure, because this is 3.9. Oof. Let's go, James.
87.95 needed to go level with Jordan. 88 points to go ahead.
Oh man, that's a shame.
The dive's great.
He did so good. It's the legs, obviously.
If he'd have kept his legs together, I think he might have been in with a chance there.
I think he would have. I mean, he's actually close.
I mean, he scored 454.9 and he looks almost a bit deflated.
I know.
That just shows the standard.
It does. Yeah, I mean, I think you can see James he was going for that, and that, I mean, you love to see that.
Yeah,
and
it's just one of those.
Maybe that's where the legs have
just
gone. He's really like, oh.
But I mean, when your feet go like that, to stay in control of the twist in
and
itself
to make it
is
still.
actually
Because it will slow the twist down as well as. Oh,
no,
damn.
Dan. This is a dive. I've seen Dan do this dive. I think at its best, I would go as far as saying that Dan can probably do this better than most people in the world.
I would
Maybe
totally
the best
agree.
in the world at its very best.
And I'm actually a bit surprised to see it doesn't look like everything else from Dan is moving really well, but back doesn't look like it's normal takeoff, I would say. Yeah.
Shame.
Here we go.
Yona with that forward 4.5.
Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, so nearly.
He even did the pike out. I mean, it's a great start.
Just didn't quite get those hands grabbed through the water, so that's why we see that splash. It's quite a satisfying score to finish on, though, 400.00.
Well, congratulations, Yona.
Some great diving again from Yona. I don't think
really
it's quite
good.
up to the standard that he has been diving at recently. I know he got a massive score down in Plymouth
He went
for
that
Futures Cup.
482.
But again, it's
That was a big PB
his
for him.
improvement. Just it's good to see.
Let's go. Jack's hardest dive.
Oh, it's gonna.
There we go. Yeah.
It's gonna cruise it, I think.
Our national champion, ladies and gentlemen, Jack Law.
What a 495. We said, can we the boys get anywhere near 500, which is a huge score. Jack 5 points off that. He looks a bit disappointed.
I know. Oh, didn't get 500.
Shaking his head. It's a great dive. It's left it slightly short on the lineup, but.
Well, I suppose for Jack, he's been around for so long doing amazing lists. He's gone over 500 so many times, but it was such a good competition.
Amazing.
That's the first national championships that I've been involved in on men's 3 meter where I've seen that many people with the potential like to fly over 400 and get close to 500. And we're missing Ross, we're missing Anthony, and they can do that as well. They can hit. If they really, really smash it, they can hit it. Whoa, that was an amazing event. Okay, so we have the official results now on the scoreboard. Look at that, 5 people over 400. Giovanni Tocci very close. And of course, our national champion, Jack Law, 495. But Jordan, maybe this is the biggest talking point about this event. We know he's capable of it, but he's struggled. Year after year in this event, he's struggled. The nerves have gotten to him, but finally he's found his success, and he really deserves it. It was really hard to call between him and James and Dan. Just the last couple of dives from James and Dan.
I mean, he gave himself every chance as well for if Jack had dropped that last dive.
Yeah.
Which, in diving, we all know how easy that can happen.
Exactly.
He gave himself every chance to the title, let alone
He did.
To push Jack that hard in that event.
Yeah.
Is
we love
great
that. We love that. I mean, that's ultimately what it's about. I'm sure Jack didn't in certain times, or maybe he did. Well, love-hate.
Yeah.
But it's certainly pressure. And there was a lot more left in Jordan's from 4.5. I think in that kind of moment, if he'd have really put that dive in, that's where the judges are going to go wild for it, because he's through the roof, he's diving well, we know the pressure of the competition. But again, it was a great job. To be consistent over that list and to spin like he does is amazing. But yeah, of course, we mentioned Dan Yona in 5th, but as a guest, 400 points exactly. Giovanni Tocci, another guest, 399.35. Leon Baker in 7th, well done to him. There's a lot more left in his list as well, and he's hitting 370, he's close to 400, but we saw him go.
See what he's going to offer in the junior events this year.
We saw him go
well.
450 2 weeks ago. Unbelievable, unreal. So we see what he's capable of. Another talking point, I think Declan Rogan, 340.6, just dive after dive, just absolutely where he needs it to be. So well done to him. Joe Stocking, also a really good job. Declan just beating him by a couple of points. He's got 338.2. And in 10th, Todd Gagasper, obviously 8th in the British event. Southend diving, 319.25. Oh.
Are you exhausted?
Oh, I am. I am exhausted.
I wonder how they feel.
Yeah, imagine.
The adrenaline come down right now. Will,
Yeah.
or maybe for some of them still up, especially Jordan. I mean,
Oh,
he'll
I
be
bet,
absolutely buzzing all night, I think.
Jordan can relax now. So me and Jack, we'll take a little breather. We'll cool down just as we prepare ourselves for the next competition, for the women's 10-meter final. But only a very little break. We'll see you in about 7 minutes for that final. See you very soon. Don't go anywhere.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At Healthspan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India, and our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements, because that's the Healthspan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
Sim-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labara.co.uk.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India, and our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labara.co.uk.
So we are back. We just took a very quick break, just to cool down, didn't we, Jack? But of course, we are here at the British Diving Championships. We just saw the men's 3-meter final. What a spectacular final. We now have the women's platform final. The competitors are just making their way to the parade area. We will see the competitors parade, and then we'll get straight on with the competition.
I think that sums up, doesn't it? That little sigh. That last event was hot. It was very hot. It was hot in this building, and that event made us even hotter.
It did.
That was great to watch, and hopefully we will see a very similar. I mean, it's obviously a very different event, but
it is.
The battle is quite similar because there is a number of girls in this event that could quite easily take that top spot. So it will be really exciting. Obviously, Lois Tolson, she was the winner of this event previously early on in the year. She did use a 5-meter dive in that event though, when she's obviously working on a back 3.5, so she was using a back 2.5 on 5-meter, which today she's back up to 10-meter using the reverse 2.5, so the degree of difficulty there drops down slightly. She did get a huge score of 3.58 though early on this year, so if we get anyone near that type of score, I will be very surprised if that doesn't take up the top spot.
Yeah, that's true. That's a world-beating score, isn't it? And so that's why we have these pretty high expectations of Lois. But you're right, the depth in this field. Robin obviously leading that competition, but then second was Gemma MacArthur. We all know what she can do. As you said, Jack, she's been national champion. She's going to be representing Scotland at the Commonwealth Games. And Emily Martin, of course, she is nursing an injury, so that's affecting things slightly, but she's still right up there, a force to be reckoned with. Eden Cheng, I mean...
Yeah, and this morning she did some really good stuff, like really impressive. And I think if some of the early stuff she did this morning can be sent throughout the whole competition, then she's going to be hard to beat, because her entries are looking great, she's looking really sharp. So if she's on this afternoon, then she will be on. So it's good.
Yeah, no, you're right, I think. And then obviously, then we have Andrea.
Yeah, which obviously we know she competed at the Olympic Games, which just to qualify for the Olympic Games is a huge achievement, and she did that Tokyo. So
you're right. I mean, we just missed Maisie and Lucy and Maya there. That's Andrea Spandolini, City X, and of course, start number 5 is Lois Tolson. We've seen start 6 is Eden Cheng. Yeah, this could be a real battle between those two potentially. Start number 7, Emily Martin. Start 8 is Gemma MacArthur. She's representing Edinburgh Diving Club. And for London Dive Academy, it's Robin Birch, the champion from this morning.
Yeah, it's interesting to see throughout that field, there's a fair number of them. I think at least half have actually won this event before. So I think that just shows how interesting this could be, because like you said, there's a few little bits in there, like with Emily not using a full list, which, you know, it's going to rely on other people dropping, because the degree of difficulty of 2 of her dives are so much lower. But within that, there's still a lot to compete for, and you know we've got Lucy, who's been really consistent throughout this morning and also throughout the competition earlier on in the year. Maisie, who is an up-and-coming diver, again using a bit lower degree of difficulty on some of the dives, so you know a lot's would have to go into her favour. But you know, just to be part of this final is a great experience for her, and you know she showed this morning the quality she possesses, and it's going to be a very interesting final to watch.
It is. I think Maisie's definitely one to mention. I think when the full list is there and ready, and when she's, you know, completely injury-free,
yeah,
I know she puts fear in the rest of the competition.
I mentioned, I spoke to her earlier, and I was talking about, you know, inward 3.5. It's a relatively new dive. She's only competed at one event prior to this weekend before, which shows how, you know, like, dives do take a while before. Well, they can. Some people can get a dive and it can be automatic, and you know it can just click and it'll work in a competition. But dives more often than not, will take a while before you're comfortable competing that. You can see that with Lois in with 3.5. When Lois started doing that dive, was a bit of a challenge for her. Now, in general, I know I put the kibosh on her a bit this morning, but in general, it is very consistent. So you know. That is a great thing for not only Maisie, all these girls that are doing dives that they might not necessarily have done that many times in a competition, to keep learning. So you can see Maisie up on the 10 metre, getting ready for us to go.
Yeah, and I think the judges are in place.
I don't know if you might have just seen Maisie squeeze her chamois off the end of the water there, which is quite an interesting thing that you may not notice. I think sometimes you try and make the water move. You can see the water has bubbles coming up from the bottom of the pool. That is basically to agitate the surface of the water, so that when the dives are spinning around and then going through the entries, they can see where the surface of the water is to grab their hands.
Yeah, there's obviously a pretty big difference between the surface of the water and 5.8 meters down.
Yeah, especially at this pool.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you can see.
I'm sure some girls might like an extra meter or two to fit some of the dives in.
There it is.
That's the start from Maisie.
There are the hands.
Just a rip entry is just. I mean, what's wrong with that? I know it's a forward dive, so it's not going to have the wow factor of the big dives, but. I don't know. I don't really know.
Pretty good though, isn't it?
That,
it's pretty good, yeah. Nice to see Lucy in this final as well. Inward 2.5 somersaults in the pike position. We really liked the takeoff on this dive this morning.
Yeah, we mentioned about her ankle pop, so you can see when the divers are on the end of the board, half of their foot is over the end, so that just lets your heel move a little bit more, so you can get a bit more spring out of your feet. Again, good start. Not quite the same finish as this morning, I don't think. It just lined up a little bit early, unfortunately.
Yeah, she's taken quite a lot of splash. Suggests to me like she probably caught her head or shoulders at least on the water. Like, you're really punished from 10 meters if that alignment isn't right. You're really punished with splash. And
yeah, your whole alignment and tension has to be pinpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not tense, the water will, well, hit you.
Yeah, and it does hit you.
Yeah, well, regardless, I suppose.
Save down from Maya.
Yeah, again, not the best entries you would like. I like her aerial work. Her pike shape was really nice. No space between her chest and legs. Again, you're always looking for those all-important rip entries.
So on to one of our Olympians, Andrea. She's kicking off her list with a forward 3.5 somersaults pike.
Let's go, Andrea.
Oh,
that's more like it.
That's very nice.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, she wasn't quite on it as we normally see her this morning, but that is much more like it.
That is. Yeah, well done. Again, it's hard I guess as the commentators, you don't know exactly how each athlete is feeling in each moment, and diving is it's difficult to be diving at your best all the time. Different pools, different competitions. You're peaking in different moments. She didn't look like Andrea was firing this morning, but that was an excellent.
I think she's got one of those people. She's one of those people that's quite natural in the competitive spirit she has. When she needs to pull it out, often she does.
Yeah.
And now it's the final, and it's important. She needs to. It's a great start. And it's better than this morning as well from Lois. She was a little bit cautious this morning, and it's a little bit similar. On the run-up, she doesn't look like she attacks it as much as she could do.
Yeah.
But she does. She spins so fast. She makes this dive relatively easier as it is, even with that run-up. Just left it a hair short of vertical. See a coach there with his Liverpool top on, ready for the Champions League later on.
Yeah. Come on, Adam. You still leads now.
Oh no! This was so beautiful this morning. I mean, I love a tuck shape. It's so neat and tight. Her knees are nice and closely squeezed together.
I really wanted to see Eden. I wanted to see, competition.
Yeah, because
we know what she can do. It is there, of course. We know what she can do, and she has the potential to score so highly. And that's a hard place to be now. You've missed your first dive. You've got 4 dives to go.
Yeah, it takes a lot of talking to yourself, or not talking to yourself could be the case.
But mental toughness nonetheless. Emily, well, her requires are beautiful. The jump isn't so good as well, actually.
That's the thing with a lot of the requireds for, especially obviously Emily, who is part of a synchro team. It's really important that these requireds are to the top standard, because when you go to events across the world, for example, China will do these requireds and they'll get 100+ points, and if you aren't up to that standard, you're going to leave yourself 10 points behind them before you've even started doing the optional dive. So it's great to see some of our girls, such as Emily, doing them to such a high standard.
It was steady from Gemma, but actually I think the execution of this in the prelim was a bit better. I was hopeful for more, just to make this competition as kind of spicy as possible. She has the potential to do that dive for 8.
Oh yeah, I've seen her do it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times, you know, in this exact event. Obviously, as we well know, it doesn't always work out like that. It's just left it a hair short of vertical, which margins are so fine. Yeah. It's very easy to do. So it's not no drop really. She's still got 6s. She's still well within the pack.
Robin Birch, the winner of the preliminary round. Back armstand double somersault, 1.5 twists.
Oh no! There's quite a few dives so far that have just been very nearly.
Yeah.
That's how you would describe them. A lot of the dive is right. Just missed that entry slightly from Robin. Again, 5.5s. It's not a huge drama, but it just leaves her a few points shy of where she would probably prefer to be after the first round.
I mean, if we look at the divers who have performed optional dives, the more difficult dives in this first round, Andrea probably being the one who's taken this competition into her own hands the most.
Yep.
Maisie Bond, back dive pike.
Great dive again from Maisie. I'm going to say exactly what I said in the first round.
Well, she did exactly what she did in the first round as well.
Great. I think maybe the first round dive was probably closer to perfect than that one. But again, you know, there's not much wrong with that.
No, I'd say that's just what Maisie needs to do.
Yep,
Keep doing that.
She's doing what she's doing. She's not phased.
The future's exciting for sure.
Her teammate, training partner, Lucy Hawkins. She's doing the same direction, but she's doing about 2.5 somersaults pike. It's a real shame from Lucy. She looked good this morning. She looked a little bit anxious almost on that start. Just didn't attack it as much as she did earlier on.
No, and by the end, it died on her a little bit.
It's a real shame because, like I said, earlier on in the year, she was diving and she looked really consistent. She barely dropped a dive throughout both the podium and the final in Plymouth.
Yeah, it's tricky, and this is again. There's opportunity in this final with some people doing some requireds, and you never know what's going to happen. Who's going to be diving well? It sort of feels like almost a roll of the dice. Maya's nearly there.
Yeah, again, like you said on her in between half, her shape's lovely. She's got her arms squeezed right below her knees, so she squeezes in really tight, chest flat on her legs. It's good in that shape, just missing that entry a little bit.
So this is probably a pretty big moment for Andrea's competition. It's a difficult dive. Inward 3 and off somersaults in the tuck position.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the riskiest one in her list. I mean, she has done it very well numerous times, but this morning it wasn't quite there. It's better. It's definitely better than this morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly enough to keep her in the competition, especially considering her first dive. Of course, more left in that, but she's still well in this.
Yeah, very steady. Just almost looked like she opened out of a tuck shape from her feet or heels, sorry, was squeezed into a bump for the first 1 or 2 somersaults, and then it just opened out and slowed the somersault down a little bit. I think she just gestured that as well, to be fair.
Well,
at least I'm saying something right, maybe. Or she could be saying something completely different.
Oh, we'll pretend that she agreed with you. Lois Dawson, reverse 2.5 tuck. Nice.
Very nice. Great sound when she hit the water.
Yeah, the body tension through at least her elbows and wrists and shoulders, great.
Slightly off from vertical,
yeah.
slight splash off her shoulders, but like you said, the tension was there, and then you managed to keep the water down.
Jack, I know you're not a Liverpool fan, but are you supporting Liverpool?
Oh,
boys.
That's it. Controversial.
Put you on the spot now, and whatever you answer.
We have got to, haven't we?
Yeah, that's how I feel. But you know, I know you're a passionate football fan. Yeah. I'm going to hold you to that now. Let's go, Eden. Yes,
Eden.
Come on.
Love that. That is more like it. That is beautiful.
Well done. Well done.
Not the first round dive that she would have wanted, but that is how you recover.
Yeah.
Great dive.
Let's make this a competition now. Let's ignite. I don't know that final vibe.
Fire in the belly.
Yeah. Let's get
Hopefully it gets her back in the game, and see some. We've still got that big back 3.5 to come, which we know can go big. Very nice, shall we? A second and our last of her required dives, as we would call it.
Yeah. I think she does as much as she can do to keep herself in this competition. Getting almost, close to 50 points a dive, 45 points-ish a dive. Just over 90 points there. It's as much as she can do. Now the competition really begins.
It's a long run up from Gemma, isn't it?
It is. Couldn't be much longer, really.
Off the back of the board. She attacks it well, though. Oh!
Yes. And you know
nice.
what? I like that run up. Because it just says, like, I'm going for this.
Yeah. And it, like you said, it comes all the way around on that entry.
Yeah. And one of the things that makes me sometimes a bit nervous about watching some of the run-ups is when they've done the entire run-up and they're already on the end.
Yeah.
So the last step is kind of just on the spot. Yeah. I don't know.
It can almost make you chop the dive as well, and then your feet could potentially come close as well.
Whereas she has the momentum. Gemma, that was a great dive.
Yeah, very nice. Well, we nailed this morning, her newest dive in our list. Back to off somersaults pike. Not quite as good as this morning, but no drama there. Put her feet in the right place. Just didn't quite get those arms in the right place, and then she just reached back slightly too much.
But she held on to it. The knee save was effective enough. Again, that's by no means a drop. I think she should be pleased with that. She's still looking strong. We're into round 3. And Maisie Bond does have one more required dive. You can see with the degree of difficulty being just 1.9.
This camera angle does give you a good perspective of how high that board is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think she could have done much more with those 3 dives.
Very little wrong with that. So good.
There we go, 9.5. That's more like it.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, personally, I don't see much wrong with it. I think sometimes judges can be a little bit apprehensive to give those, 9s, 10s out, especially on the easier dives. But
it might make you stand out, and often the judges are assessed on their performance. Obviously, if you're constantly away from what the rest of the judges are putting out, and those are the kinds of things that you have to show to get on the judges panels. You need to prove yourself over event to show that you really do understand.
Ah, that's more like
well done,
Lucy.
Yeah, it's a much better dive.
Nicely done.
On a 3.0 dive as well, so it's a good dive to get some of those better scores.
Yeah, this was the one that she dropped this morning in the prelim as well, so very, very well done for her to correct that mistake, and after a bit of a shaky start from her, that's how to recover.
So our one and only guest in this final, Maya, back to an off pike. This was performed very nicely this morning.
And very similar again, I think.
Yeah,
very nice.
And really nearly very good. Again, a bit too much chest.
Yeah.
So too much extension just through the chest and the shoulders to not get that perfect entry. Nearly there.
Yeah, she's a promising diver. I think she's 2003 born, so she's still only very young, obviously coming to these type of events, competing against divers that are going to be on the international stage. Should be a good experience for her. She's clearly one of Italy's bright young divers.
Andrea back double somersault, 1.5 twists.
Pretty nice from Andrea. We spoke this morning about this arm stand dive. It's important to try and not flick underneath the board, because then it's really, really hard to stop that rotation. So I think Andrea did that pretty well there. Uses her arm strength and flicks up and kind of jumps off her hands, and then gets a reasonably good entry through the water.
It's the same dive for Lois. But you can see it on Andrea's attempt why it's so difficult to stop. The dive can just be kind of just getting away from you.
It's quite nice sometimes when divers of very similar caliber follow each other with the same dives, especially for the judges. It can give you a kind of direct comparison between divers.
Be good to get that now. Rush.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really cut underneath the board like we were saying, but she just didn't use those arms as much as she probably could have done.
Yeah.
So it just kind of falls off the platform instead of jumping off the platform, and then it's difficult to get all those rotations in. I mean, the dive itself was lovely. Her leg line and, keeping your feet together when you're twisting is quite a difficult challenge, and she does it, and she looks beautiful in the air. Just unfortunately doesn't quite make it all the way around in the rotations. Right then, Eden, in with 3.5 somersaults tuck, 3.2 DD.
Let's go. Not bad. It's maybe fallen away a bit again, but you can see that her body line was almost arched. Well, it probably was a bit arched on the water. She was trying to fight to get that round. The dive still looks good. It's just that chest is impacting the water, not in line with the hands and the arms, so it causes that splash. Oh, nearly there.
Yeah, very, very close. I guess we will say it as well. Obviously, in this event, we can see how many good divers we've got. We've also got Josie missing from this morning. She unfortunately had to pull out of the prelim because she had an accident in training and hurt her ankle. So that's another diver that, again, could just add to this competition.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Very nice,
but Emily's done a fantastic dive. Every time I see Emily do this dive, it's a really good job. Well done. Bringing the heat.
She always seems very calm. I always find I don't ever see her really flap. I don't know. I haven't experienced training with her a massive deal. Sorry, but from the outside looking in, she does always just seem calm and composed, and she knows how to compete.
Yeah, that's when the real.
Oh no.
I mean, that's the risk with kicking up. So Gemma, well, it's a risk with any handstand, but at least to me, it's a kick up as opposed to a press, which we're seeing from most of the other divers. I feel like that's harder to control.
Especially when your nerves are...
I know.
Your body's shaking.
Well done, Gemma.
Oh, it's a nice dive as well. It's a real shame.
Actually, her best, probably her, well, that front was great, but maybe her best dive, ignoring the restart. Really well done. And actually, the handstand initially was beautiful.
Yeah. It's really frustrating.
It's tough. I mean, unfortunately, you see that.
So you saw the scores there. We actually get 2 points taken off per judge for that restart. So the scores to count were, I think, 4 and 5s. So our last diver of the third round. Our winner from this morning's prelim, Robin Birch.
I want to see that pike out and entry.
Yeah. Come on.
Yes, Robin.
Come on, that's what we want to see.
Well done.
I'm very impressed with that, actually. I haven't seen that for a while, and obviously last time I saw it, she's coming out through the punch entry, but now she's looking a lot more classy with that pike out, and that's why she's going to get rewarded with 8s there. Big dive from Robin.
Yeah, great
stuff. Put herself within 5 points of Lois. Andrea is also on 177.
Again, looking at the points, it was 300 in the prelim, 310 in the final. And she was the only person to get over 300.
Yep. That's Maisie with her hardest dive of the competition. Yeah. Like we said before, she's not competed it many times. She looks nice in the air. Tuck shape's nice. Her pike out does look nice, just a tad early.
Yeah, I think the takeoff in the preliminary round looked stronger to me. It was moving more naturally. It looked like she was really squeezing that one, willing that one round. It was a bit early, but I think again, ideally, she probably wants a bit more speed, and that will feel more natural. Lucy Hawkins, reverse 2.5 somersaults tucked.
Nice dive again from Lucy. Recovered really, really well in the last 2 rounds. First 2 rounds of the competition weren't quite up to the standards she probably would have liked, but the last 2 rounds have been much more like from her. Very nice front 3.5 in the last round, and again, a nice reverse 2.5 there.
And again, to mention, Lucy will be competing in the Commonwealth Games for Wales. So that's a really exciting step for her. I mean, the Commonwealth Games is a great event.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you talked about it like a little Olympics, and it's the pressure's off a bit in terms of the vibe, the atmosphere. It's fun.
Ooh,
Well done, Maya.
Maya.
Yeah, clever finish. It was a fraction short, but she's still taken most of the water with her and had a great sound on entry.
Yeah, and we're going to see another one. 3 in a row, reverse 2.5 somersault stuck.
Yeah, and looking at the standings, things are very tight.
Oh,
nice dive.
Very nice.
Good, let's keep that pressure coming.
Yep, that's what we want to see.
Well done.
These are the rip entries this morning that we didn't see this morning from Andrea.
That's much more like it. And giving herself every chance of making the final score at least. She's in contention for a medal for sure.
64 points on a back twist. I don't think that is out of the realms whatsoever. I would expect. I mean, her back twist this morning was her best dive, I think.
Yeah, it was.
By quite a considerable amount, really.
Yeah, I would expect 70 points.
Yeah.
Sort of low end, but it is diving.
Yeah, she got 76.8 on back twist this morning, so she'd cruise over that 310 point total. That's more like it from Lois. This morning, this was slightly over-rotated. She's a little bit piked through the water, which is why the splash just throws up a little bit, but the whole dive, generally, very, very nice. And 64 points again. I think that puts her level on points, doesn't it?
Yeah, now her and it's just 0.2.
Yeah,
between
her. Going to the last round with the same dive.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right
again,
then.
If this
is the big one.
This goes down. You'd see just kind of visualizing her dive, using her hand there to
77 points to join the 2 girls at the top.
Doable. Oh, well done!
Yes, Eden.
Yes, Eden. All right. Now she's in the money.
That's not going to be far off.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh,
and she has
this
the same
is
dive
exciting.
as well. This is what we
exciting.
want. So that's 246, 246, 243. Oh, nice.
The last competition got very hot at the end. This one looks like it's going to be very similar.
We just cooled off as well. Oh. And Emily with inward 3.5. She obviously does have a bit more work to do just because of the lower degree of difficulty on her first 2 dives. But Emily certainly contributing to the atmosphere of this competition. Every entry's been so good.
Again,
yeah.
Again.
You've just got to give her credit.
Her awareness is very good. Her spatial awareness is very good. She very, very regularly lands upright, and that is so important.
I mean, she's only 20 points off the lead.
With 2 required.
With 2 required.
That just shows the 2 optionals have been very consistent, and then obviously the requires were kind of as much as she could do with them, really.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
great
Gemma.
recovery from Gemma. That's
yes,
great to
Gemma.
see. Unfortunate error from her in the last round with the arm stand, with the restart, but that is much, much
But she's
more
still
like it.
241. Without that restart, she'd be in the lead.
Yeah, wow. Wow, it is tight at the top.
And we still have,
Robin
obviously,
to
Robin
get
to
69
dive.
points to get up to the top as well, which is
That's more than doable on this dive. It needs to be good, but it's more than doable. Here we go.
Then everyone, apart from Gemma and Maisie, finish on back twist. Oh, it's nice.
It is nice. It was better than this morning, I would say.
It's not. It's going to be 60s, I think.
Yeah.
61 points.
Oh, wow.
Wow, this
so,
is
5th to
this
1st.
is close.
There's just 8 points.
7.85 points between. And then there's 0.2 between first and second. 2.95 between Eden and Andrea. Wow, it is all to play for.
It is. 310 being the magic number, but I don't think that's actually that significant now, because I imagine I'd probably expect to see most of these women go over that.
70 points. We'll get over it. Oh, amazing.
Well done.
Absolutely brilliant from her again this morning. Very similar. She's great at these back spinning dives.
She
I can't
is.
wait till she's doing back 3.5 because I
know.
think that she has all the potential to absolutely smoke it.
She does. She does. Yeah, well done, Maisie. Yeah, we all know the trajectory that Maisie's on. And I'm just looking
really
forward
important
to
for her to get fit and stay fit.
Yeah.
And that, for a lot of divers, is actually the case.
Yeah,
especially on platform.
But I mean, for you, Jack, obviously as a springboard diver, I know that you struggled with that.
Yeah,
it was a constant
unfortunately.
battle.
I mean, it's kind of the nature of the sport, I guess. It takes it out on you.
Yeah, just for some more than others, though. You know, some people can really just seem to tough it out.
Lucy finishing off her list with the back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twist pike, like we're going to see from the majority of, well, every girl except Gemma coming up. Good dive for her. First 2 rounds, not quite up to the standard she would have liked, but then the last 3 rounds, she's really, really redeemed herself. So, well done, Lucy. Shows good mental strength to get yourself back in that competition and keep putting those dives down.
Final dive for Maya, our guest from Italy, of course. Back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists.
Another nice dive.
Yeah, she's right on with all of her dives. I just want to see more entries.
Yeah,
I'm not. It's hard to know exactly what that is, exactly what's responsible for that. Maybe with some dives, it's different things as well. But she's got all the makings of a great diver. Again, just to take things up to the next level. If she starts putting hands and finishes on those dives, then.
Right then, this is where it gets very hot.
Oh yes. Well, let's do a Jordan Holden and put the pressure on Andrea. Oh, she has. She
well
has.
And truly on.
She really has. Well
that
done.
That is going to be difficult to beat, I think. She is currently in the top spot.
72. So 318.
So she didn't make the prelim score, but she has made the final score. And if she wins with that score, then...
well, exactly. But again, the only person who did was Robin.
Yeah.
But actually, Robin is sitting at the bottom of the pack for the fight for the medals. She's in that fight, but she is at the bottom of it. It's just tough for the decision makers, isn't it? Always for the team selectors.
So she needs to better the 7.5 reach judges, Lois. It's gonna be close.
It's really good again. It's really good. Well, it's gone.
It did get some eights in there, but just...
yeah, sort of slightly divided opinion. Oh.
Yeah. So currently Andrea in first, Lois second, 5 points behind her. Eden again with the same dive. Nice thing about doing the same dive is you get a very, very direct comparison between all of them. So when they're all so close, I guess it's harder for you to make those points up there. That's the trouble with the girls following Andrea now.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
I think that might do it.
I think it might. I mean, I think you're right, Jack. I think that's enough.
Oh, it has.
Oh my goodness. How much is in that? There's nothing.
Is that? 0.25. Oh my word. Very, very nice dive from Eden though. Great entry, great height.
First dive.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she had a big drop on the first dive as well.
Whoa.
First 2.5.
Great stuff. Same dive for Emily.
She was a little bit behind the top 5, but like we said previously, 2 requires in her list. Oh, that's the first real drop we've seen from Emily.
Yeah, it is a bit too far away from the platform. Just struggling to get the power through those legs.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I'm sure she won't be too disappointed really with the day's work she's done, with yesterday's work she's done. She's shown some real good stuff, especially on the back of, you know, having that injury and still kind of being in the process of recovering / working with the injury. So hopefully she won't be too disappointed, but seen some good diving from her today.
Oh, we have.
And Gemma, the only different dive.
I mean, she was right in that fight. Unfortunately, she won't be now. That was a bit of a drop.
So Robin needs 80.1 to go level with Eden in first, which is a big, big ask.
It is. It's hard. It's hard to see. I think Eden's making it very difficult for Robin to have a shot at the title. Bronze medal? I mean,
What does she need? 74.8? 74?
I'm glad you're good at maths, Jack.
No, I'm not. I think I've just said it wrong. So. I don't think it's going to.
No, I don't think that's going to challenge the top 3, but that will put her in 4th position.
Yeah.
Ooh.
4th position, 302.65. So that concludes our women's 10-meter final.
Yeah, that's an interesting competition. Obviously, Robin overall, she's come 4th in the final in this event, but she was probably the most consistent overall throughout both competitions, I mean.
She made the prelim score, didn't make the final score.
3 of the women have made the final score, that's 310. You can obviously see that's Lois, Andrea and Eden. However, none of them made the prelim score, but obviously the final score is the most important one. Eden has won, but only by 0.25. What happens from here?
It gives a headache for the selectors. I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
But
I suppose it's a good headache to have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Eden's won there, so, you know, she gives herself a very strong case.
Yep.
The top 3 have all got over the final score. Like you said, there's a number of factors that can come into play. So there we have our standings for you to see. The women's platform final, in first place Eden Cheng with 318.75, closely followed by Andrea with 318.5, Lois in third with 313.5, Robin just missing out on the medals with 302.65, Gemma MacArthur in 5th place with 282.65, Maya in 6th place with 272.05, in 6th place in the British event, 7th place overall in the event, Emily with 271.05, 8th place Lucy with 251.55, and Maisie Bond in 9th place with 241.25.
Well, that ended up to be a really tense competition.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of drops in there by all the girls, wasn't there, really? Like we said, Lois scored 350, I want to say 58, something,
yeah, 58,
around that mark in the event earlier on in the year. So, you know, not quite up to the scores that they got there, but we've still seen some really good dives, and again, the competition, massive between all of them.
So, we are going to be returning very soon. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we do have 2 more synchro finals to come. We have the men's platform synchro final and the women's springboard synchro final. Straight finals. We can see the warm-ups taking place right now. We will be back at around 4:40 to commentate on that for you. We'll see you then.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. Healthspan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India, and our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements because that's the Healthspan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labara.co.uk.